Hello friends and family, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. We are Tom and Melissa, and we are thrilled that you're here with us today to make a chocolate cake. Now, I'm going to admit to you that I am a chocoholic. I love chocolate, anything chocolate, but this is my favorite chocolate cake. It is the best I think I've ever had. Let's talk about what you're going to need to make this chocolate cake. First, you're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, you're going to add to that 3 teaspoons of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And we're just going to add that right into the flour. Now, you're also going to need, in with that flour, 1 cup of cocoa powder. I use Hershey's, but you use whatever you want to use. But 1 cup of chocolate Hershey's cocoa powder. And we're just going to kind of whisk those together, stir them together. If you don't have a whisk, just use a spoon. But you just need to get those combined really well so that you don't have any big lumps of flour, big lumps of cocoa. So just stir them together. And, oh, I still see some flour coming up there. Okay, so we've got that stirred in pretty well. Now, you're also going to need 2 cups of granulated sugar, just white sugar. And you're going to need 1 cup of brown sugar. And we're just going to put that in together. And then you're also going to need 3/4 of a cup of oil. Do not leave out the oil. The oil is one of the things that helps this cake be so moist. So make sure you put in the 3/4 of a cup of oil. Now, I use canola oil. It's just what we have here at home, what we use. So that's what I put in. But whatever type of oil you use, feel free to use it. I'm going to grab my spatula. I want to scrape every bit of that out of there, because that oil is really what helps this cake get so moist. That and a couple of other ingredients that we're going to show you here in a minute. Okay, so we're going to put those on the mixer and start creaming those together in just a second. Let's talk about what else you need before we start that. You're also going to need 4 eggs. I'm using extra large eggs, but large would be fine, whatever you have, 4 eggs. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You're going to need 1.5 cups of buttermilk. Now, this was the only ingredient that I did not have in the house that I needed. Melissa and I are not buttermilk drinkers. My parents loved buttermilk. They would just drink a glass of buttermilk. Blech. Or they would crumble up cornbread in a bowl or a cup, a glass, and pour buttermilk on it. I've tried. Can't do it. But you do not want to leave it out of this recipe. You will never taste it. It does not change the flavor of the cake at all. It just makes it really moist. So 1.5 cups of whole buttermilk. And the last thing you're going to need is 1.5 cups of steaming hot coffee. Now, Melissa and I are not coffee drinkers. This is steaming. I see the steam coming off of it. We are not coffee drinkers. So I had to go to the coffee cabin that is located across the street from our house and buy some coffee just a few minutes ago so that we could make this recipe. But you don't want to leave that out. If you're not a coffee drinker, put it in anyway. I promise you, we don't like coffee, and you will not taste it. It just enhances the flavor of the chocolate, so make sure you put that in. Okay, let's get this started creaming. We're going to put our sugar, brown sugar, and oil in here and let it start to cream. I should have put my flour guard on first. Let's do that because I'm going to start adding my eggs. There we go. Okay. Now, once you have that mixed in well and you feel like it's creamed together, you just want to get your white sugar and brown sugar moist. I'm going to add my eggs one at a time. Just add one. As soon as it disappears and I don't see it anymore, I add the next one. And one more. And the last one. Okay. And we're just going to let that run for a minute. I do have my scraper blade in, so I won't have to stop the mixer to scrape the sides of the bowl. But if you don't have a scraper blade, you will need to stop your mixer occasionally and just scrape down the sides to make sure it's all mixing together. Alright, next we're going to add our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We'll just do that right into the bowl. There's 1 and 2. Next, we're going to add our buttermilk. Shake it up good. Buttermilk does have a tendency to settle. So, before you start pouring, just shake it up really well. Let me measure out 1.5 cups. You want a glass of that, Melissa?
I think I'll pass. But thanks for offering.
I knew the answer before I asked. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit and let that mix in. Actually, I think I'm just going to drizzle it in as it's mixing. Now your batter is going to be really thin. Even after we add the dry ingredients, it's going to be a thin batter. This is not a thick batter. It's going to be really moist. I'm going to scrape all that buttermilk out of there before I measure the coffee. I want every drop of that in there. Alright. Let's add the coffee. Now, you do want your coffee to be hot. You don't want cold coffee. So make sure it's hot. If it's steaming. If it has gotten cold, just stick it in the microwave. It'll be fine. Alright, here we go with the coffee. Melissa, there's some coffee left in there. You want that?
Once again, thank you for offering, but I'm going to pass.
Yeah, me too. I do occasionally like a cappuccino, especially when we're on a cruise or somewhere on vacation. Ooh, man, that is. I'm just going to put that in. It's splashing everywhere. I wish this, you can get on my shirt. I wish this mixer had one speed lower than the lowest speed. Okay, I'm going to let that stir together there for a second.
I'm going to turn it all the way off.
Now we're going to start adding our dry ingredients. So let's just add a little bit of that to start with. Oh, thanks for locking that. It always works better if it's locked. If it's not locked, it has a tendency to dance all over the place. Okay, let's stir that in. Now, like I told you, this is going to be a really thin batter. It is not thick. Ugh. I hate that it does that. I'm just going to go ahead and put some in and then turn it on gently if I can. Let's see if I can just gently get it started here so it doesn't make a flour cloud. Okay. Let's add the rest of it. In we go. All right. Let's try that again. See if we can get it to gently stir in without throwing flour all over the kitchen. It is a full bowl, and that's because it's going to make 3 cakes. This is a 3-layer cake. And you know what I think? When it comes to chocolate, the more layers, the better.
We might need an intervention.
No, there is no problem with my chocolate addiction. There are addictions that are a problem, but chocolate addiction is not one of them. Okay, I am going to scrape up around the edge of this bowl because my scraper blade does not go up that high. And I want every bit of that in there. So, in we go. Let's hit it one more time. Okay. That is mixed up pretty good. Now, I do want to show you, I'm going to use my spoon here to show you how thin this batter is. Look at that. See, it is really thin. This is not a thick cake batter. So, if you make this cake and it's really thin like this, don't think you've done something wrong. You have not. That's exactly how it should be. And like Melissa said, this is a bowl full of cake batter. That's because we're making 3 cakes. And I'm going to show you my cake pans as soon as I get this cleaned off and my hands washed. Okay. I've gotten about all that off there I can get. You want to lick this?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Thank
Put
you.
it in the sink. Grab me a couple of paper towels here. Now, I do want to show you my cake pans. We are using 3, they should be 9-inch cake pans. I don't have 9-inch cake pans. These are 9.5-inch, but they'll work fine. And as you can see, there is a strip around them. These are called even bake cake strips. They look like this. They're just fabric strips. You soak them in water, get them really wet. It says to soak them for 10 to 15 minutes. I normally soak them for at least 30 minutes. And then you just barely squeeze them out. You want them wet to go into the oven so they don't burn. But the purpose of those is that it will help your cake to bake evenly. The outside won't bake first and cause the middle to have a big hump. It helps the middle to bake at the same rate as the outside, so when you get finished, you'll have a cake with a flat top. It bakes evenly, which is why they're called even baked cake strips.
Which is important if you're going to stack them up.
Right. I don't do this if I'm just making us a cake at home, but we are taking this to a party. So I wanted my cakes to be even so I could stack them and, you know, they wouldn't be lopsided. So I'm using those. These come in a pack, and I got them on Amazon. I think you can also buy them at the store, maybe, you know, Walmart or somewhere. Okay, I'm going to divide my batter evenly among the 3 pans, and I'm going to put my cake in the oven. It goes in at 350 degrees. I'm not sure for how long. Do you know, Melissa? What's it say? I think 30 minutes.
30 to 40 minutes.
Okay, 30 to 40. So we'll get the batter divided, get them in the oven, and bake them. And when they come out, we'll let you see them. We'll be back. Our cakes are out of the oven. They took about 35, 40 minutes to bake. And I have already taken them out. 2 of these I've already taken out of the pan. I'm going to take this one out with you. But I want you to look at how well these cake strips work at keeping the top of the cake flat. You can see there is no raised part in the middle. That The reason is that the cake strip keeps the outside of the pan cool, so it doesn't bake first before the middle has a chance to bake. All right, let's take this one out of the pan. We're just going to tip it up. Now, I did grease the bottom of the pan. I did not grease the sides. And you can see that I did put a circle of parchment paper on the bottom. So I will have to remove those before we frost the cakes. Now, I will also let these cool before I wrap them, and I'm going to wrap them in plastic wrap. And I will wait until tomorrow to frost them. I just want to make sure they're completely cooled before I put any frosting on them. So we will let these cool. We will wrap them in plastic wrap. And then tomorrow morning, we will be back to make the frosting and frost the cake. So we will see you in just a few seconds on the video, but actually it will be tomorrow morning. We'll see you soon. All right, our cakes have set overnight. I wrapped them in plastic wrap and they are ready to be frosted. So we need to make our chocolate frosting. Here's what we're going to use to make our chocolate frosting today. We need 9 cups of powdered sugar.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, but we've got a 3-layer cake, so it takes a lot. And usually, well, it depends on how much frosting I put between the layers. But usually there's enough left over that I can pipe some little decorations around the top edge of the cake. But we'll see. But that is a lot of confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. We need 2 cups of Hershey cocoa. And that's what I use, just Hershey's unsweetened cocoa. Then, this is an optional ingredient, but I did put it in. I actually put it in with the cocoa powder. I use 1 teaspoon, sometimes 2 teaspoons. Today I only put 1 in, of instant espresso powder. Now it's just like the coffee that we put in the cakes. You will not taste it. It just enhances the flavor of the chocolate. So don't be afraid to use it, but it absolutely is not necessary. If you don't have it, you don't want to buy it, you can leave it out and your frosting will be great. But it does kind of give the chocolate flavor a little boost in there. So if you want to use it, put in 1 to 2 teaspoons. I used 1 today. A lot of times I use 2. Then you need a pinch of salt. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that in to my powdered sugar, so I'm done with that. You're also going to need 3 sticks of room temperature butter. It must be at room temperature. You want it soft. My hands are clean. I just washed them, but I'm going to show you. You can see how soft it is. My finger just goes right down in there. So it's not melted. It's not runny. It's just at room temperature. And I'll tell you, I took it out of the refrigerator last night before we went to bed, and I left it out on our counter all night. It will not hurt your butter to sit out. In fact, we don't refrigerate our butter. I mean, this is our butter dish, and it stays out on the counter all the time. So if we're having biscuits or toast, it's easy to spread. And butter, real butter, is just fine out on your counter. You're also going to need 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and you're going to need 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to take our powdered sugar, our cocoa, and our espresso powder, if you're using it, and we'll put it in our mixing bowl together. I'll get all that out of there because you want that chocolate flavor. And you might think, well, that little bit's not going to make a difference. Well, it may not, but why waste it? I paid for it, so we might as well get it in there. Okay, now we're just going to whisk that up. And the whole purpose of whisking this is just to keep from having big lumps of powdered sugar or cocoa powder in one spot. And you don't have to whisk it completely, just kind of get it mixed in there together. I just stick my whisk down in and turn it a little bit to just get it worked in together. And that's pretty good right there. That will do it. Okay, now let's get everything out of our whisk gently. All right, now we're going to go to our mixer. And this is where we have to say a little prayer that we don't have a big dust cloud all over the kitchen. Actually, yeah, I think I will. I started to say I'll switch to my whisk, but I think I'll just use my beater. I like that beater that has the scraper blades on it. All right. Please don't go everywhere. Yeah, it's going to a little bit. Okay. Let's start with our butter, and we will just put it in a little, I'm telling you, put it in a little bit at a time and just let it mix in. It takes a little while to get all 3 sticks in because I'm just cutting it into kind of tablespoon sized chunks, putting it down in there, letting it mix in. All right, I'm going to get all this in there, and when we've got it all incorporated, we'll come back. All right, now we're going to add in our vanilla. Our butter has been in for our butter has been in for probably a minute. So we'll put in our vanilla, and now we'll start to add our heavy whipping cream, just a little at a time. Let it start to incorporate with that powdered sugar. And I do have extra heavy whipping cream, because you may need an extra tablespoon or 2 to get it to the whipping consistency or the spreading consistency. You can see it's really thick. I'm going to turn it up and whip it. And I can already tell you I am going to need more heavy whipping cream. So I will add about a tablespoon at a time until we get to the consistency we need for it to be spreadable. Now that I have most of it in, I'm going to take off my shields. See, it's really thick right now. So I'm just going to add whipping cream until it gets to the consistency that I want it. Oh, it's already starting to thin out. And I am going to scrape the sides of this, even though I've got my scraper blades in. I need to get this up here around the top edge. Get it all down in there. Ooh, man, does that not look good?
It smells nice too.
Mm-hmm.
Smells like a really rich candle.
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna get this all down in there. So, I have to take it off a second. All right, back on we go. My fingers to scrape off my scraper. And I can already tell you I am going to need even more heavy whipping cream. You just never know, because your powdered sugar reacts differently. You'll get one bag of powdered sugar that doesn't need as much liquid to thin it out, then you'll get another bag that needs a lot. So you just have to work with it. That's looking really nice. Let's see if it's spreadable. It's still a little thick. Yeah, it's close. Really close. Just a hair more. Another tablespoon. I'm gonna wash my hands. How's it look, Melissa?
Looks really good, I think.
All right. Now, we need to take a little taste. You want to taste it?
It's a little early for me. I'm going to pass. Plus, I just brushed my teeth, so might not be a fair assessment.
It is chocolatey.
It smells really, really good.
You know, I think I'm going to go even one more tablespoon.
Still feel too thick?
Yeah. Still a little thick for spreading. You don't want it too thin because you want it to hold up between your cakes. I think that's it. All right. Clean up my mess here on the edge of the bowl. Now let's scrape off our frosting because we want every bit of it. I will be very honest with you and tell you I am not an expert cake decorator. I'm not great at frosting cakes, but I figure as long as it's on there and it doesn't look too bad, it's okay. So,
I think our friends will suffer through.
well, I hope they're okay with it.
Won't stop anybody from eating it, I promise.
I don't think so either. All right. So I am going to frost our cake. And when I am finished frosting, I will come back and let you see what it looks like finished. Now, I'm not going to cut a piece right now to take a bite and show you because we are taking this to a get together tonight and I don't want to cut it before we get there, but we will do another segment at the end and let you see what it looks like cut. All right, we'll be back. Well, I told you I'm not an expert decorator, but the cake is frosted. It's got the chocolate frosting on it, and I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator just to get the frosting kind of set up, and then we'll be ready to take it to our cookout tonight. All right, we will be back for one more short segment just to show you a piece of the cake on a plate after we cut it with our friends tonight. So we'll see you soon. Well, it's the next day. The party's over. And this is the only piece of cake that's left. It was a hit. I did save this one piece because I wanted to be able to show you what the cake looks like once it's cut. You can see the 3 layers. You can see the icing, the frosting between the layers. And I'm going to tell you, this is a really good chocolate cake. And I'm very happy to sample it for you. Babe, you want a bite?
I'll take one in a minute.
You don't want me to feed you?
That's okay, thanks so.
Okay. Such a good moist cake. Yum. I want you to look how creamy this icing is. Look at that. So creamy. That really is delicious. If you love chocolate, if you just like chocolate, you're going to love this cake. Please go below the video and click the thumbs up. That just says you liked our video. The more people we get to click the thumbs up, the more our video gets shared. If you have not already, please click the subscribe button and the little notification bell beside of it. And when you click the notification bell, click the word all, and it will notify you. YouTube will notify you every time we add a new video. We really do appreciate you watching our videos and leaving such kind comments. Melissa reads all of those to me, and she does a really good job of trying to reply to them. It's kind of become a little bit of a job for her because we're getting comments on lots of different videos, but she's really working hard to keep up with those. So we do appreciate your kind comments. Remember, you are always welcome to come sit at our table. Thank you.